Hello there, and thank you for joining us today. As always, it is the Women Series where we capture developments and stories that impact women. The month of June has been quite an interesting month. I mean, we've got so much of unraveling of stories and looking at women in politics. And we'll continue the conversation as we look at women in politics and women's participation, especially in Nigeria. As a nation, how can we achieve an inclusive government where everyone is fully represented and there is gender parity in politics? Now, today's conversation is taking a different twist as we bring it close to the younger generation, pardon me. We're looking at engagement and opportunities for young women in politics in Nigeria. And at what point do we begin to see that we are the leaders of tomorrow happen? My guest today is someone who is very much passionate about the good governance, a social media influencer, and a human rights activist. I'm speaking with none other but Rinu Oduala, popularly known as Rinu. Hello, Rinu. Thank you for joining us today. It is great to have you.
Hi, I am Ide. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So let's quickly go straight into the conversation for today. We're celebrating 22 years of uninterrupted democracy in Nigeria, dating back to 1999. How will you describe Nigeria's democracy since 1999? And will you say that it has encouraged enough participation for citizens?
Well, for us in Nigeria, we have been enjoying uninterrupted democratic rule. At least we've not had military coming for about 22 years now. However, like a popular singer would say, is this democracy or crazy demo? Ordinarily, democratic governance should encourage societal development, inclusion, participation of citizens in governance, should encourage accountability and transparency on the part of public servants. However, can Nigerians actually say that they have enjoyed the dividends of democracy in the past 12 years? After 22 years of democracy and 4 good presidents, Nigeria is almost a failing state, if not failed already. I think that I want to quote Obasanjo back in 1999 rather. And if I can remember clearly, he said that no society can grow or develop when corruption is allowed to progress unfettered. And it has grown into a cancer in Nigeria. Government and their agencies have become thoroughly corrupt and reckless. Members of the public have had to bribe their way through ministries and parastatals to get attention. And then one government agency will have to bribe another government agency to obtain allocation of funds. Now, I'm going to ask you, is this not still the case today? Are we not still bribing one government agency or one government official or the other? Is there not still corruption, rampant corruption in our society? Can we say that this democracy that we claim to practice is encouraging participation for citizens? We still have, like I said earlier, corruption, unemployment, ethnic problems, leadership challenges, hunger, security issues, violent killings, voter apathy, limitation of press freedom, not to talk of the recent Twitter ban, which has not encouraged participation for citizens, actually.
So in your words, the democracy that we practice in Nigeria has not encouraged enough participation in the political space. Right. Now let's talk about gender parity. Lack of gender parity in the political system has been highlighted as a major reason we've experienced this type of governance that we have. I'm dating it back to one of what our guest had said, that in a system where there is no gender parity, exactly this is what we see. Now, the level of women, both young and old, representation in Nigeria's political system is still very low, dating from the the local level down to the federal level. In your opinion, we're looking forward to 2023. Everyone is so much anticipating 2023. What can be done to change the trend to get more women in politics, in the political space?
Well, thank you for that question. For me, if what can be done to change the trend by 2023? Let's start from first saying by in the whole of Africa, only Nigeria has the lowest number of public legislatures. In Nigeria, only maybe out of, I think I read 7 out of 109 and 22 out of 360 members of the Senate and House of Representatives, respectively. If we look at our Nigerian society, women play important roles as custodians of culture, nurturers of family, yet in times of conflict, we're not represented at the negotiating table or we're not represented in community reconstruction efforts. Even after helping to propel issues forward, women become sidelined and underrepresented in political processes. We become sidelined in government transitions. We become sidelined in negotiations after protesting. Women participation in Nigerian decision making is very low, and the critical role that we can play is often ignored, and we are severely, most times, asked to take a back seat. Yeah. And for us, I think that the male political dominance, which includes using financial inducements, godfatherism, political violence, men clique within the political circle, patriarchy, stigmatization, societal barriers have kept a lot of women away from the political structures in the country. A woman's role is often rated as inferior to that of the man in almost all aspects, if not excluding our political life in our country. For me, the only way that we can change the trend in 2023 is by two ways. Where is the quota system that ensures that women are effectively represented in government? A quota system that reserves a fraction of electoral positions for women can be legislated. Two, the media must change their attitude towards political coverage of women. We don't get enough political coverage of women. Sometimes even the media will project women in ways that is not relevant to leadership or politics or elections. I remember how our politicians have taken over everywhere with violence. The style of politics that we're practicing, in which there is violence, there's insincerity, there's marginalization of women, suppression of women political interest, is shameful. There were cases where electoral violence, has badly and specifically affected women. I'm trying to recall this case of where a woman was bullied and had to step down for another person. I think it happened in Oyo State, where a female local government aspirant was bullied by her opponents in the primaries, who brought thugs to the primary to the voting units and declared himself as the winner of the election. Did the media positively report this? The media has to report, and perpetrators must be held accountable.
So, right, if you are saying that all of this has to be done, but are you considering the fact that young women, are they interested in also going into governance? Do you think that let's use the youth as an age bracket, the age bracket of the youth? Do you think that they are very much interested in going into politics?
Let's first example the structure of our country and see if it encourages political participation. I talked about electoral violence the other time. I talked about male dominance. I talked about I just cited an example where a young woman in Oyo State was asked to have to withdraw from the electoral from the primaries, where our opponent, which was a male by the way, brought thugs, brought bullies to the environment where the voting was taking place, and she was asked to step down against this man who brought talks to the environment. So it's our country encouraging electoral participation for women. For me, I feel that not only women, youth of Nigeria today are prepared to engage in participatory politics, which is, social media discourse, anything that doesn't have to do with them endangering their lives. So these are things that to review. What is everywhere? Even the young people that do not actually want to go into politics are refusing to vote. Because there is so much manipulation everywhere. Should we talk about how they're manipulating INEC or the electoral violence, for instance, or how our politicians are weaponizing poverty? Or should we talk about the LI system where some elites somewhere get to choose the leaders that are supposed to come and serve the people? So when they get into power, they don't serve the masses that they are elected to serve. They're actually serving the people that put them in place. So these are among so many factors that discourages young women from participating in elections. And these are some of the things that we need to actually fight against.
Right. So you've highlighted some of the reasons young women, or let's just say the youth, are not interested in politics. So let's look at what will you, you have been in the front runner during the NSAS, and then everyone heard you and saw you. Sharing some of your experience, what will you share as your experience and learning points from serving as a part of the people that was seen and heard during the NSAS protest?
Well, as as a female, you get a lot of backlash. You get a lot of sneakers, you get a lot of stigmatization, you get a lot of shaming, you get a lot of slander because of the society we are in. However, I learned to give my head up regardless, like the leader I am. For me, feedback is very essential, not just feedback, but feedback that factors into making decisions. I learned that you cannot just make decisions on your own. Only rulers do that. A leader should never make people feel as if they are carried along. Leaders should actually make sure they carry people along and perform the mandate of the people. So for me, if you notice that you're not doing the mandate of the people, just leave it for someone else that has the people at heart. Because and I think that a lot of women, just so that we've always cut them out, history have never been, kind to women in revolution. For a very long time, women have been taking the lead in peaceful protests and engagement for good governance and accountability. And for a very long time, whenever revolutions are documented, women are erased, and we should stop that. History is timelessly unkind to women, and that needs to change. The dynamics have never changed from women leading protests, from the about women rebellion to so many protests in Nigeria. This country beats dynamic women, born of confidence and resilience to, I've said it before, to years of oppression and social injustice.
Right. History is not kind to women, and this dynamic has to change. Now, let's talk about women in Nigeria and across the globe. You've highlighted some of these challenges, and one of it is the sexual harassment and gender disparity, even in the workplace, amongst other things. As a nation carrying out a constitutional review, which is currently going on, what legislations can be amended to promote a system that respects the rights of women?
Well, for me, I think that many laws in our country encourages discrimination against women. Check many laws. I think examples are the Labor Act, the Police Act, customary practices, sexual violence laws, amongst others. Section 42 of our Constitution expressly promotes gender equality. The same section limits that. I remember in 2016 where there was this bill, is it the GOE bill that was being pushed to secure much needed freedom and rights for women, so that women and girls may be able to exercise their rights, the right to be free from discrimination, the right to be able to enjoy their right to education, to healthcare, to own properties without barrier and without the agenda. However, this bill since 2016 is yet to be passed into law by the National Assembly. However, the recent VAP Act, I think is it VAP Act, or yeah, the recent VAP Act that was passed by the National Assembly. Has this act been adopted by all states in Nigeria? I remember the Child Act Rights 2003. Has it been adopted in all states in Nigeria? Has Nigeria actually brought all its international obligations, international conventions in promoting human rights and gender equality in the country? Have they tried to domesticate these obligations? The participation of women in politics is minimal. Notwithstanding that women make even more than half of the population, we bear the brunt of poverty. We are the least economic actives. There are few laws, like I said from the start, that is aimed at respecting the rights of women. And even these laws are barely enforced. A very big victim goes to the police station to make a report, and character gets judged by the very police officers and other bodies. Enforcement of existing laws and the redress of adequate women participation in Nigeria politics. Who, when they get there, we make more friendly laws for women is what we need in Nigeria. Enforcement of existing laws and encouragement of women participation. Who can make friendly laws for us?
Right. I hope that all of these things that you have just pointed out will be addressed, and then the necessary administrators or regulators in charge will get to see this, and then necessary things will be done about it. Now, a lot of young women admired and saw you as an inspiration. I guess you've spoken about that earlier, to speak and take the lead, considering the leadership you displayed in the last NSAS protest. The goal is to see more women, especially within the youth, participate in this social political space. And then we see this reflecting in 2023 as well. I mean, what is the way forward to achieving this?
The way forward to achieving, more women even more youth.
No, now we're talking about young women. Yeah, exactly. More young women should be considered.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
The way forward to actually achieving the goal to see more women participate in the social political space in Nigeria in 2023, I said some earlier, the Nigerian political parties will do a lot more in encouraging women participation. The political air in Nigeria, you know it, I know it, you cannot deny it, is fraught with tension and violence. Not only tension and violence, voter apathy, political apathy. People are refusing to go out and vote. Let's just check the trend of the elections that we have had in the past recent days. How many people even came out to vote in primaries, talk less of general elections? There's political apathy. How many people are willing to go into political offices this year? I saw a recent news, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday, that a 22-year-old won an election in the US. When would that start to happen in Nigeria? If someone dares to do that, the person might get killed or get, even we ourselves will be the one to say, oh, why is this person going there? Because our society doesn't encourage that. The young women of Nigeria today even prefer to engage in what we call participatory politics, because the old institutions of politics have failed us. I just mentioned an example of the young lady who dared to take a local government a chairman form and decided to vie, and she was bullied out of her position. So the old institutions of politics have failed us. The government needs to create an enabling and safe political environment that will enable women, that will enable young women to run politics the way it's supposed to be. We could create awareness campaigns that encourages women to stand for election, give women orientation to what politics is all about, engage in role capacity building programs to support women. You and I also can start to change our negative attitudes to seeing a woman in power. Some of us have wrong perception about women going into politics. Many women see, or many see women as, or many people see women, especially popular women in activism in politics, such as being stubborn, being disrespectful. Some people even call them prostitutes. Lastly, for me, I think that young women need to activate their inner coconut heads and decide to stand and be ready to fight for change. And when they are taking their stance, at times you might be the only one alone, but that doesn't mean that stance is not meaningful. Because there will be resistance to change in history. If we check history for a very long time, there's always been resistance to every form of change. But without change, things will never get better. And we definitely need things to get better for ourselves, for the generation that's coming before us, and for our future.
Right. I love the fact that you talked about awareness, and then we should also be ready to learn the act of politicking. And then we should also calm down and be willing enough to go into politics. And that brings me to a very important question. Would you be willing to go into politics?
Well, being a voice, and more importantly, being one of the many voices in Nigeria crying out for change, most times it's not always about protesting on the streets or using your platform to fight. At times you need to also get into the playing ground. You need to also get into the field and fight actively. Yes, I may consider politics in the long run, but for now, I think many people have asked me this question. For now, I want to learn a lot. I want to gain a lot of experience, get to travel, meet people. Most importantly, gain expertise that it's much needed in leading my people, in speaking out for my people and my community. Because, like we also, Nigerians, we seem to think that a good leader is our problem. We seem to think that having right people is our problem. The only thing that we do not see is that building a good democracy is actually what we need to do. Because even if the right people get into there, the system may discourage them from performing. But when we join hands to build a good democracy for ourselves and a good system that encourages citizens to hold public leaders accountable, I think that Nigeria can actually become better. So for me, it's about getting the necessary tools, expertise, experience in helping Nigerians to build, a good democracy. In the long run, like I said, you may find me picking up a form to aspire. But for now, I really think that I need to do a lot in fighting for my community outside the field of politics by holding public leaders accountable, using my voice, using my platform to speak against bad government.
I think that's a good plan and that's a good strategy to learn and to be aware and to also mingle and learn from other people that have also gone through that same space. What a way to go. We wish you all the best and we hope to see you pretty soon in the political space. Thank you very much for joining us on the program today, Rinu. It was really great to have you speak on this particular issue. It was such an honor to meet you as well. And that brings us to the end of today's edition of the Women Series. If you've got questions or comments, kindly reach out to me at ayomide.oguntoye@proshare.com. And to watch more of our videos and learn more about finance, visit www.proshare.com/webtv. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.